I hope you can hear me. This clubhouse is glitching quite a lot. Uh, Please give me a sign, Alcar Joyce, that you could hear me. Okay. Thank you, Joyce. Okay. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, on all the platforms. Um, been having a very leisurely, nice afternoon, Saturday. I hope you did too. Yesterday, I was in a very interesting room. It was organized by Dr. Finance. He called me about that room, and I attended on the Friday. They were doing a YouTube interview Dr. Finance did with Steve Farrell, and it was very nice. So I was able to co-host it yesterday, and I was able to exchange some things with Steve Farrell. So I was going to talk a little bit about that conscious living that they were championing, and they had this humanities around the world, their organization. He kind of forsake his lucrative profession, and he came back here. So that was something somebody who has worldly vision and also really thinking very positively and consciously change people, not in a forceful way, but more like presenting the viewpoint of. It's more like for me the ancient viewpoint which people are evolving into. Even the science of consciousness is evolving into that one world view, one energy view. That we know that physics has come to the point where we are all in one energy. And even panpsychism or science of consciousness talking about hard problem of consciousness from Sam Harris in New York. So that is there very close by, and they are kind of validating what ancient intuitively felt. For me, more of that kind of experiential knowledge is more important than just accepting somebody's theory or somebody's conclusion or even the authority. So everybody has to take a journey within and find out themselves. If Alka, Joyce, if you want to come up, I'll be happy to bring you up. Otherwise, I was going to explore a little bit on this conscious living that Steve was talking about yesterday. You know, and he was really running this at a level that's very impressive. To be like that, running even if it is a non-profit institution, something really remarkable. That is what I was impressed about, and he was also not getting any particular side, but he was just presenting his side. Somebody brought in something like they had some experience in Clubhouse, which somebody threw out somebody into the uh, out of the room or said something bad and all that. And he was very correct in accepting that he sees that consciousness in everybody, and that's why he was not taking any sides. So I think it's all very genuine, and I was communicating with him, and then we have exchanged some things, but then not any formal meeting yet. And also, I made a couple of movies actually on this particular topic. I sent them to him so that he can see them. I sent him like a gift. So he will. It's not like he's talking something different. I'm filming something different. These were made because of that what they call consciousness, uh, bliss, and existence. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Those are the three words. Sat, Chit, Anand in Sanskrit. Okay, what it is if you are worried about you are dying or not going to be existing anymore, what is existing here is the consciousness, and that itself is prevalent in everybody. and that is itself is the knowledge in a way, and it also a blissful thing. So these three things are said to be like three arrows in that nirvana. Well, they talked about nirvana. First one is about death. Second one is about ignorance, and third one is about sorrow. These three are transcended when you really touch this inner abundance, which is they call Satchitanand, which is existence, consciousness, and bliss. So I made a movie on that, telling people what the concept is about, how they can do that in daily life, and what are the things they can do to do that, and also what are the resources that they could read upon this or take more interest in that. Okay, so that was which I made myself with the videos, both of them, from what I understood and all that. Uh, so I used Pictory to use the text to go in there and then make a video. Okay, I'm very proud of that that I was able to make those videos. I was not able to 6 months ago, but now with AI, that's one skill I really appreciate is making videos very quickly. Scripts are there; they were written a long time ago, and some of them are because of the new pro writing aid. That is the tool I use to write the script better, and it does show us a lot of grammatical problems or maybe a different structure of sentence, that kind of. But then he doesn't have the spiritual insight probably, but it's a better writing for me. So I wrote that, and then I put it in a pictory, and out came the video. It's remarkable. It gives the music, gives the voiceover, and it gives the beautiful pictures appropriate to the text and all that. The other program I was using in video, that doesn't give all the pictures, synchronizing with the text, whatever it is there. So I'm very happy with both of them, but picture. Anyway, I was sending them uh, uh, to Steve. I'm going to see whether I can bring one of them and post it here, pin it here. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah, I found it. Part one. I'm going to pin it here. Let's see. Okay, that is the part one. I pinned it to the on the top on the clubhouse. The rest of them I will post them tomorrow, both the videos together probably. Um, so this is describes and then two parts combined together will be maybe 12 minutes maybe the whole video. So it's not too bad. So that conscious living that Steve was talking about is really because we have the global heat and we have the polarity. We have so many wars going on, especially the Ukraine, which direction is going to go, we don't know. So many worldviews of our existential problems are looked at, and then um, it is brought in like a he brought in Galileo and other people. I bring in ancient Indian sages. They the same thing though. So it's a kind of I consider the whole thing is modern versus ancient. Ancient could be Galileo, other people too, Plato, anybody, right? All of it is like a we are not individual uh, conscious being, but the consciousness is there as the spark in which one of us in that level, at that being conscious level, we are all one. That ancient Indians called ekatvam, oneness. We are all oneness at that level. We may have different bodies, different minds, and all that, different upbringings, and all. But essentially, what is it that sparks the life and animates the body and mind? That's what we're talking about is the being. And once we identify with that, we are all one. Even science is coming towards that. You know, other thing is, if you are looking everybody as equal, then in your mind the attribute is more like a perspective of this Satchit Anand, or one conscious being. He gives us a equanimous way of looking at people. That is they call samatva, right? And then once you understand that the essential conscious being will be permanent, will only change the body mind complex, then you say, okay, I'm not going to be attached to this impermanent thing, but the permanent. I'm just telling you the philosophy. It's not like a fact that you have to follow, but that was the philosophy. Then you will have asangatvam. That means detachment to what is not permanent. Okay, how you can achieve all this? They said about control your senses, thereby control your mind, and then you'll be able to do that. This is they call indriya nigraha. So these four things are the qualities, not qualities, the characteristic of people who have established in this wisdom. Those people are, they have the perspective of this existence, consciousness, and bliss thing, and they can view everybody, every mind, everything equally, and their reactions will be equal, and they are not really attached to impermanent things, even relationship, even nationalities, even races, and none of that, right? And then finally, all this you achieve by really having self control, not suppression or repression of your senses, but understanding the sensory pleasures or sensory life is limited, that kind of thing. So that's very important for me. Actually, it's if you read Bhagavad Gita, in that chapter 2, 52 or 274, I think those are the ones that embody these four principles, and that's very important chapter, very important number of slokas there. Whatever it is, whatever the source, either it is Plato or it is Galileo or it is ancient Indians or Chinese or Japanese or anybody, ultimately what it is we are all in one energy. So those energies are all one, means that we are really experiencing the sameness. Steve Farrell was basically talking about that, and he had a multi-million-dollar business, and he left all that and came and found this nonprofit. That's why it is very striking. And he established in 2001 or something like that. He had a very, very, very nice experiences he related, which were very fascinating and very corroborating what he was going through. You know, so that's what I wanted to talk about today and tomorrow. Also, I'll bring the second video tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'll post them to all the other people who are there. So this is what it is the division goes and the separation goes from that oneness of all humanity. I think we will have a lot more problems related to division that we experience every day. Even experiencing that I'm a single body mind, and then I have this character, and all those are also will be seen by you as not real, but is something that is conditioned for us. And then you don't hold on to them that much. That's why it's much easier to accept everybody. It helps me for my acceptance of whoever is in front of me as a patient, or nowadays I'm looking more like a yoga teacher or wellness teacher or any of that, right? When they come in front of me, I only relate at that level of Satchit Anand, right? That perspective. That's why I don't have these other divisions in my mind going through. So it's easy for me to accept them at the time. And they don't know what it is, but they relate to me very closely. And that helps me to relate to my patient, extract more information, understand them better, and give them time to express themselves. So instead of running them through like other doctors I see, I train them. is like a we go around them and then see how they are doing on the job, right? So the assessment is how are you able to manage relationship with the patient, patient engagement, patient information, basically making the patient get involved in their own care, but at the same time they should have this humanity, so that we teach these days about how you can be empathetic, how can you be more active listening, how can you be more relating the whole thing in a philosophical perspective, that you will be gentle in breaking down the news if it is very bad. All those skills are taught. So what we do is we accompany one doctor at a time, and just as he going through his regular day, how he is behaving, how he is greeting the patient, or uh, touching the patient, examining the patient, explaining each step of the examination, and also the each step of the way, like what tests are ordered, how they are conveyed to him, and what is the plan and all that. These days everybody looks at from the door the patient, and then they say, okay, I'm going to order a CAT scan, and from the CAT scan I will get all the information, then I will tell you about what we are going to do. We have seen that. And that is the reason a lot of patients lost respect and confidence with the doctors. So we are aware of that going down of the doctor's reputation, doctor's respect, and all that, right? And that is coming back for them because they feel that they are not no longer have that respect and all that, right? And then that acts on their self respect, especially if they're egoic, then they suffer a lot. So accepting we're all in one consciousness helps a lot, I think. But we cannot rub on them. They have to investigate that into themselves, and then see what's going on with the science of consciousness of late, and also what is the experience of the ancients with the nature, with the world, with all of that. All those things are really helps them to understand better. Okay. So I thought I was very delighted to meet Steve Farrell yesterday. Actually, I met him. I heard him on the YouTube video, which Dr. Finance was playing right on Friday. Then I saw that video again on Friday night again, and then yesterday I met him personally. He was there, and I had the chance of co-hosting, so I was able to ask questions that I want and also listen to them, and then made some contact back channel and send him these videos. Okay. Uh, Anybody any questions on this or any curiosity? You can come up and talk. Alka, you have any questions? Joyce or Anisha? Anisha, right? Anisha. Yeah. Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Dr. Rao. I have a question. It's not really for me, but I was thinking about it the other day.
Yeah.
How do doctors deal with if they're in a situation where they have to be giving really bad news to people a lot?
Yeah.
And how draining it must be and wearing on them, and how can they learn to handle that?
Yeah, actually, Joyce, they are trained to be impersonal lots of times, and that's not really good. Okay, so they come there, and then they don't want to be involved in being sensitive or being slow on that. I heard people say, "Oh, you have bad COPD, you've been smoking, and you're going to die." That kind of thing is there, and it went on for so many years. So that's why people kind of felt the doctor's not empathetic. Actually, they were not trained. Also, they were trained to not to be kind of involved with emotionally with the patient, because you will be trained. What happens is now we train them. How we train them is you got to think more like they're part of your family members, or your friend, or somebody, or a fellow human being, right? So how do you want to break the news without being upset yourself, or really taking all that? So uh, if you employ kindness to them, you get kindness in turn too. So that's something they miss. So I'm very empathetic to with the patients. So it's naturally happens to me. So I immediately put my hand on the shoulder or give them some support and all. For example, there was this lady who was coming to me. My patients usually come several years for me, so I have a relationship, right? So she came in, and she's a bubbly, very funny, and she always cracks jokes. So we used to talk about Bears because we both are fans of the Chicago Bears. So we had a good time whenever she came. Most of the time, she had little problems. Most of them were okay. She was doing well. But then I found a cancer in her breast, So, but when she came in, I kind of did the necessary test, mammogram, CAT scan, and all that, right? And then I got the biopsy and all that. And I knew that is a complete diagnosis. But she came along, and then she was usually bubbly, very nice, and all that. So I wanted to have her husband with her so that she can have some support when she's going back. But she would not. She said, "No, no, doctor, I can take anything," and all that. So I kind of talked to her, tell her that I don't think this is a death sentence. We have dealt with so many, but this come out. The tumor was formed. That's why we had the biopsy, and they showed this cellular diagnosis, something like I told her. And she was so upset. She was completely opposite to what she used to be. But I was well equipped with this because I was trained in end of life issues, right? So usually something like that happens, they are upset, then we get a committee from the hospital, ethical committee, or patient relations committee and all. I usually used to get invitation because I had that experience, and I can break news very well. Basically, we got to put ourselves in their shoe and then break it with the compassion and kindness. That we train them these days, and then people are picking up on that. But it is draining for the sensitive doctors. That's also a problem. So when I train them for the burnout, I usually tell them about a story. I don't want to go to deep philosophy with them, so I tell them about the Freddie the Leaf by Leo Buscaglia. Is about a small leaf that takes birth, and immediately he's very enthusiastic about things. He enjoys the sun, he enjoys the neighbors, and all. He began to talk to the leaf behind, next to him, and they were talking about it. Suddenly, they see a ripe leaf detached from the upstairs and coming down. Hey, what is happening to that leaf? What is happening? Then this guy says, other guy, oh, that leaf is died. That's why she's going to go down into the ground. And this little Freddy, he gets all frustrated, right? And then other guy says, "Don't worry, we all die." But then that goes and goes into the ground and becomes the nidus of the next life. So that kind of circular life, not without rebirth, reincarnation, maybe believe or some. There's so much there on the ancient wisdom about what dies, what remains, and all that. So basically, Joyce, we got to train them back to be human, not mechanical. So there is so much effort is being done now in the medical profession to train them to break the news carefully to the patient, and also if they are very sensitive, how to really not to react mentally like that, but more like a respond to the situation with something. Hi, Alka.
Hi, yeah. Can I just answer Joyce's question?
Yeah, sure.
We, every day for 17 years, I've been running a nursing home. And Joyce, I break news to people. And I thought training is enough as a human. Last year, 72 years old, my mum had a fall in India and passed away. I live in the UK. I couldn't go because of COVID for 5 years, 4 years, because I was looking after other people. It's very easy to get the training and be robotic and deal with people. The last 17 years, yes, I don't let my residents' families cry when they're end of life. But when you go through it with yourself, it's hard. So the last year, when I break the news to people about end of life, I support them because I run a nursing home, and families ask me, how long have they got? That's the worst question when families can ask me. Is it days? Is it hours? But when a human, like as I said, his mama passed away, it's different. So how much of a training we get at the end of the day, we're a human. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, that's the thing. Coming back to being human, but also remember I said about samatvam, that is equanimous in nature, because mind reacts, but how you understand those reactions, what's the philosophy behind it, that's important for them, right? If somebody upsets and comes to me, I don't get upset, but I respond to the situation, understanding empathetically and giving them support, giving them these illustration stories, where they lots of times these situations can be the right time for us to really show something or really make them see the point. Like for example, if you are very somebody comes and asks me how much time it is there, I never give a prognosis just like that. I'll say we'll have to wait and see, and then take them on a journey of understanding the patient's underlying medical condition. Is the multi-organ failure is there, or we have so much of biological evidence that what is going on with the patient? All the story was fed to the patient's family. Thereby, they can understand situation is pretty grim and serious. And so even when I'm doing emergency room in New York, people used to carry or EMS brings the patients on chart, right? And the family comes behind and they're very worried what is going on, what's going on. So what I do is one of the team, so when people are working on the thing, I'll be running the code, nurse will be there and other people are there. But one person I assign all the time to go and talk to the family and tell them by each step what was going on. So that's like a method by which we prepare the family, and then family can sometimes anticipate, okay, this is going to come by themselves, but then sometimes they just have hope against hope that this person will survive. So it's a very tricky situation. So you don't want to go joke around or take it easy or silly, anything like that. We really have to be very dignified and focus on their problem, on their internal emotional situation, right? So each step, like, okay, we brought this patient, suppose it's cardiac arrest or cardiac AFib or whatever rhythm that is there and all that, I tell them briefly, and then they go as the code is going on. They would have 3 or 4 times people coming in and telling them this is what's going on. This is sometimes people may come behind, but the patient is already died. So then we take them to a room, and I go separately and then sit with them and then tell them what is going on. Why it doesn't drain me is because I don't emotionally react in a negative way for myself. Getting upset or getting angry or none of that. See, actually, one of the cardiologists we lost in New York during the COVID time, she is an excellent cardiologist by any means. Okay, she had done her boards and her everything excellently. Then she decided to work in the emergency room, and actually she's supposed to see only the patient coming to the ER. But at the time, that was the time when all these so many cases happened in New York, right? So the workload was overwhelming for them. But then she was also asked to see patients on the floor. And actually, emergency room doctor should not go there, but they forced her like. And the consequence was that woman was very sensitive. She felt she failed her patients because so many people died because the illness was novel, it is new, and we don't have any therapeutic options. In the beginning, I'm talking about New York, right? And then she killed herself. Okay, so it could be that bad too. The draining that Joyce is talking about, it could be there. So that's why we want to point out people who can burn out, who have the tendencies, and then train them to be inner resilient. not being hard, but understanding what are the corrections, what are the overwhelming reactions. And many people don't go through review of those reactions. If you go through the reactions and see what is appropriate, what's not, like everybody knows we are going to die, but how many people really understand what happens after death and all that? There's so many things, more modern and also ancient ways to understand death. For example, my understanding about death is a myth. That sounds very strange, but then once I know death is a myth, I live every day well, full, and also really understand that death is a transition, and we're going to have life home after that. There's so many things on that. I don't want to go into them, but basically, we kind of aware of these sensitive situations and try to educate people, and also philosophy also comes into that. But people who react very, very badly, very sensitive, they are the ones who are burning out. Nisha, you want to come up, or you want to have any questions?
Yeah, I think it's true that how the person thinks of death would certainly make it easier if you thought of it as a transition.
Yeah.
And rather than a complete loss of the person entirely forever. Yeah, so I can see not everyone has those beliefs though, so it must be especially hard for those people to deal with all this.
Yeah, that's very hard.
Certain specialties where there's a lot of death, like cancer or something.
That's very true, because if they are not really have this personal philosophy behind, not really accepting just like that, but then especially emotional lability, like a label, it switches from sadness to funniness, something like that. Those people are very, very labile. They kind of suffer a lot. Hi, Janet, come up. Janet also is a nurse. She works with all these people who are dying. It's a kind of important. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Dr. Joyce.
Yeah. Joyce had a very nice question. So we are discussing that, what happens with the doctors when the patient is critical dying, or how does this affect how he is draining and all that. So I was talking about my understanding of the death which as a transition. Something I will share with you, Joyce, what I understood from the ancient wisdom. It's a big, big study, but I will tell you simply. Yoga kind of divides body into three different things, like a stula, that is the physical body, organs and all that, and sukshma, our ideas, our thoughts, our emotions, our conclusions, understandings, all that called sukshma. That is micro, okay, and the macro, and then there is bija, that is seed, the genetics and all that, right? What they claim is the physical body and the mind, brain, not the mind, brain, they kind of cease to exist, because the spark that is giving, that is the consciousness, that is the life, or that is God, whatever you call it, that goes away. Then these two are there. Life still lingers on cellular level, but it goes away after a few days, right? So the stula is gone, but the micro, which is the a bundle of thoughts, bundle of your conclusions and all that, they actually they call it centers of karma, that is actions, right? And if they are not taken care of, or the desires that are taken care of, you will go to the next life to fulfill them. That is the reincarnation belief and all that. There were so many studies about prodigies and other people who have extraordinary skills after this. And also, spiritual evolution is more like a karma, is like a school. One life you may be kindergarten, other life you may be high school. Then you have time for that. But then people who have already done that, they kind of get this spiritual realization very early. So that is how they describe that. That's why they say don't harbor thoughts and beliefs and all these things. Examine them, find out about them. Don't have to tell anybody anything, but then just pay attention to them and resolve them. For example, there were two sisters, I believe. These are they grew together and then they fell apart somewhere, and then they were not seeing each other for 20 years. And then both were 76 or something. And then the other lady came to visit this ailing, dying sister, and then began to talk to her. And she said, I'll only talk if you're dying really. Otherwise, I'm not talking to you again. So that kind of harboring those kind of emotional grudges and all that, once you realize this, you will let go. And that is exactly, as a matter of fact, how you work on your inner established thought routines or hates or loves and all those things. You will take it lightly, and then you let go all those and live in the present. I think this is too much of a esoteric thing, but because the occasion came, I just had there's so much more on that. But basically, death is a myth. Death is a transition, is a major, major shift of outlook. And then once you examine that, it seems like it could be the fact. That's why it doesn't matter. Another example they give is look at the grass outside our house and all the leaves of the trees and all that. They all go down. The grass also goes down. But then as the season changes, it comes back again. Life comes back. So many. They were Eckhart Tolle was showing a movie one time. He's all this black and white movie with all these people going around in New York and other places. And he said, "What happened to all these people? They are not here anymore." But then the ancient people say they all the physical bodies are gone, but their souls are here permanently, and then they will take another body. So in Bhagavad Gita, the description was it's like a body is like a cloth. Just we change that after it becomes worn, we change the bodies too. Anyway, I didn't want to go into those things because I'm not like a follow any particular religion, like a religious cult or anything like that. But I take wisdom from them. I accept all of them as the many religions, but the same path and same truth ultimately. So that cannot be a divisional thing for me. So I don't belong to anybody anymore, and any nation also. Steve Farrell was talking about that too yesterday. He was also talking about this particular thing where he had a dream one day, but then before the dream, he was a seventh child, I think. His sister was getting married, so she called him and said, "I'm getting married in the summer. Would you come to it?" And he said, "Oh, I will be so busy on the weekends doing all these things. I cannot sacrifice my work and all that." Then he went to sleep that night. He dreamt that she died, right? So, and he woke up really, disturbed, right? And then he picked up the phone and he called her and said, "Hey, I would not miss your wedding for the world." Okay, and then he went in there. He enjoyed that, and I think somewhere Hawaii somewhere, and then he came back. And a couple of months later, the sister had an accident and she died. So that was very, that was very. He said those miracles happened to me. So he was sharing that yesterday. Yeah. Janet, were you there with Steve Farrell yesterday in Dr. Finance's room?
Oh, yeah. You were talking about in the life care?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So the doctors are really good.
Yeah.
They don't have to. So for me, it's always been harder, I think, on nurses because we do the final part.
Yeah.
The doctors, you're still trying and trying and trying. But, and this is the hospital, is my experience.
Yeah.
In the ICU, too, cardiac surgery where it's not supposed to happen, or procedure, things don't go well. Of course, it's devastating, and we just kind of support each other.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual, like a chaplain that comes and tries to give support. But I always feel bad for the doctor because they still have to be the leader.
Yeah.
And they really know the patient more than we do.
Yeah.
Because they've seen it in the office, and now it's time for the surgery. Or, and I always feel so bad for them. I worked in cardiac surgery, intensive care.
Yeah.
So I feel real sad because I know they've had that relationship with the patient more than us.
Yeah. It is. That's what I was talking to Joyce about, all this, how we have to be empathetic at the same time, not emotionally reactive to in a negative way. Actually, when you have the longer perspective like this, death and dying and end of life issues and euthanasia and all those things that happen, if you look at some ancient cultures, like in India, what happened was we were able to see these elderly people dying in the house. So I knew what is death when I was very young. A little scary, but still, it was not that foreign. Whereas in United States, we never let people die at home. We want them to die in a nursing home, or only a few people are using the hospice and making the house hospice and all that. But many of them. I remember Kennedy's wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, when she was dying, actually she got the cancer's diagnosis, and she opted not to have any treatment. And she came home, died within 3 or 4 months. She didn't want the chemo, she didn't want all that. So some people say, oh, I have seen the life, I don't want to continue. But that is very rare. Many people want to live to the last day and then fearful and all that. That's their choice, right? So usually I ask, what did this grandpa, or what did he want when he was with it? Does he want to continue, or does he want to end this? Some people don't want to be on the machines, right? That kind of language they use. So I always honored patients' opinion, what he should have told us. If lots of them, they might have lost their mind already, and then they were just existing. All the medications, everything, we make them do that. So the people around him, the daughters, sons, or whoever, they have difficulty deciding because they feel maybe he will come back. If I let them go now, then I'll have to feel guilty about it later. That kind of thing. They are very scared to make the decision. That's why when I asked them what was his wish when he was really good with all this, that helps the family a lot and also helps us too. And also nobody feels guilty that we have premature ended the life. You must have had those circumstances, right, Janet?
Oh, yes. A lot of families have it divided. I've seen it where mom has cancer and she's ready to, she's on hospice, and then they rush her and bring her to the ER. And, she gets on the breathing machine, and, mom can't do anything because her family called, what is 911 going to do? Nothing. So they take her, and, I've seen that. See a lot.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really admire about the physicians is that they still are leading. Like, they'll check on you. Like, they'll say, "Are you okay, Janet?" Like, we had someone, and this is always devastating when someone has like a PE, because that's like right away, and you just don't expect it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you okay?" Because we were so shocked.
Yeah.
Because you're talking, and that's the thing about the heart. That's why it's important that physicians aren't stressed out, and that they are taught ways to cope.
Yeah.
And it not and really one of the things I like about the teaching hospital, Virginia Commonwealth University, they're doing a pause. They're not treating it as a routine transaction when someone dies.
Yeah.
Other hospitals do. I've been at other hospitals where they're like, okay, we need that bed, but PCU pauses and stops everything. Yeah. And gives everybody a moment and checks in with them. And there was another nurse here, they do like a code lavender, and they provide support. But it's important to not forget the physicians in that, because they're still, she's leading. She's like, "Are you okay, Jana? I'm sorry. That happened. You guys did a good job." And I'm always like, do they ever get, any support at all?
You see, the lot of people who die of the cancer, there is a problem with the oncologists too. Sometimes they just want to do business. And one episode I remember, the oncologist, he told me in the room that this is an advanced carcinoma of the bronchus, stage 4, spread all over. He will not be able to live. And then he goes next room and tells the patients, we can try some chemotherapy and all that. So it's a kind of difficult situation, lots of explosive. People are emotional, people are feeling guilty, or people are feeling that they're going to lose this loved one. So much emotions running at that time, exploiting them, just without tell the truth and let them make the decision. That's my approach all the time. And not tell the truth what is convenient for us. So you got to have real inner resilience, Janet, to be able to deal with the situations, the court situation, or long-term care, or Alka was running a nursing home. Alka, what is your experience about these situations? She said she was running a nursing home for a long time. Maybe she's not available right now.
I was just going to say, both of my parents were on hospice at home for like 6 to 8 months. Actually, they both lived longer than they were expected to live.
Okay.
They were both expected to live just, a few weeks at the most after they wanted to put them on hospice. And so anyway, they both lived about 8 months. I basically, with my father, I told him that I thought he was going to get better, but we would just agree to go on the hospice just so that he could get, an easier time and help at home, and wouldn't have to keep going into the doctor and things like that. So anyway.
See, there's another thing I will tell you, which is probably very weird, but then this has actually happened. There is this sage who is really always in that realization where he is so detached from his body and mind. He is in that conscious, that's called sahaja state, this natural, relaxed and also balanced and non-reactive state that we can all aim to achieve by doing meditation in certain way, and also really establishing yourself in that self, they call it, or the atman or soul, whatever it is. Once you are established in that, then you can see the body and mind as separate from you. So what the effect was, he was having a actually sarcoma on his elbow, and sarcomas grow pretty fast and they invade the blood vessels and all that. Very, very painful, right? So that sarcoma was growing, and they shouldn't have tried to remove that. But then the local doctors, not knowing that, they kind of attempted surgery, and then it got the stimulus. We know very much. Even if you do the biopsy, sometimes they grow after you do that cut, right? There's a stimulus for that to grow. And this grew so much that it kind of suck all the blood, like all the energy out of him. But when the tumor has become somewhat big, they brought in a military doctor who had 20 years of experience of this kind of surgeries and all that. And he saw very, very many soldiers who underwent a lot of surgery. So he was a hardcore military doctor, right? And he himself was amazed how this man was not able to feel anything. He did not take general anesthesia, by the way. He took only local. And when they did it, actually they had to excise around that, right, periphery. And he was so detached from this. This is actually Dalai Lama studied some Tibetan monks, sent them here to show that kind of very high pain threshold. That way the threshold so much they don't have to take too much of medication. Even this head to toe scanning that we do, it's a modified form of the dead man's pose in yoga. That way conscious sedation is easier. And some people are doing surgeries, minor surgeries without any anesthesia, because these people have such a high threshold for the pain, right? So that state is possible, but not for everybody. But I'm saying if you are really able to watch your thoughts and then not get involved those thoughts, and then separate body and mind as the things for you, and you are established in that self. That is possible, but not everybody has this of the sage I mentioned about. That's a remarkable thing. The military doctor documented all of that, and later on he said, I have seen so many hardcore soldiers, but I never seen anything like this. So it's a kind of weird for people who are logical, who are rational, who are cognitive, who are, unless I see with my senses, I don't believe it, that kind of thing. But if you transcend your senses, transcend your ego, transcend your personality, and then really establish in yourself, then you can see the thoughts coming, and then kind of actually, when you are establishing yourself in that being, Janet, your sleep will be very high quality. That I can vouch for. That's something that I do. What it is I usually teach people how to gain quality of sleep. The videos I made, the discussion I did, and the suggestions I give, all those based on that. But I know a lot of people don't have any foggiest idea about what is the being. So it's no point of pushing on them. What I tell them is try to get off all that happened from morning till evening, go on in your mind, that you don't want that. What you want to do is you want to review all your reactions from morning till evening, maybe reverse the direction, evening, afternoon, morning, like that. And then if they are trivial, you don't need to bother about them. Don't carry on. Don't allow them just like that. Actively bury them, let them go. Okay, and then if they are really important, something related to your career, to your relationships, or to anything like that, if they are important to you, write them down and then forget about them for the night, right? This is a very simple technique we can do. And then if you cannot, even after that also, then think of so few, up to 4 to 10 positive things happen to you, and sleep on them. So instead of sleep, if you are angry, if you are really upset, now if you go to sleep, that's not good. But if you can put that aside and then actively bring in, this is the conscious thought I'm talking about, bring in consciously positives. But what I'm talking about is a little beyond that. Once you have done that, then you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not even those thoughts. Thoughts happen to you, but you are that awareness, that being, which is awareness, and sleep on that. I tell my wife all the time, it took you only 5 minutes to be in that being, and then I go to sleep completely, and then when I wake up after 3, 4 hours, completely refreshed. This is very different than when I was sleeping on positive thoughts. Does that sound weird to you guys? Anybody?
I was going to say, I was thinking about how, um, I was in a pre-med program, even though I never really intended to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I remember being asked, well, why don't you become a doctor? And I thought, oh, I think it would be depressing working with illness all the time. And then what was really ironic is that then I got sick, and I had to deal with illness personally for a long time.
Yeah.
And then feeling,
You
when I
must
was getting
have. You
better,
must
my
have read.
parents were getting worse. And so
Yeah.
dealing with illness has been a big thing for me. But
Yeah, Joyce.
anyway, I was thinking if I had had your training and outlook, then maybe I would have gone into medicine because I wouldn't have had that belief
Sure.
that it was
Sure.
going to be depressing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way you go analytically and then all that's very good. You got to understand that. To say actually, when the EMR revolution started, I was giving lectures on why we have to adopt EMR. I was a real big proponent of that, really. So I said, the days of doctor telling the patient to follow is over, and you got to accept patient as equal partner. You know that means what? Involve them, engage them, teach them, and make them do some homework about their illnesses on the. Actually, the art of work is done by individual patients with illness because they have only that to study. This is the time when I'm talking about internet searches and all that. But nowadays it's much easier, right? So cognitive enhancement is maybe 1,000 times with the AI. That I support, but still that human touch, human compassion, human showing of kindness and really empathy for the patient is very important. That's why I said in this era of AI, soft skills are going to be the biggest demand. I'm finding it when I talk about the burnout and all of that. A lot of people are interested because it is talking about soft skills. This sleeping on this being I told you about, that is a wonderful thing if you can do that. But lots of people get caught in their own mind and the thoughts. You got to extricate yourself just by really understanding this whole process. Otherwise, your thoughts will go back to your subconscious and they will form this like a Janet, for example, you have some tiff with some close relative, and then she goes away. It lingers on for some time. That is allowing the thinking to go on forming its own roots. And that's what I'm talking about conscious art. That means it happened yesterday. Tonight you are sleeping, and then why do you have to remember that and really make it stronger in your memory? Rather, you got to let it go. Really let it go. That means you got to be conscious here and now. If you are living in the present, then all those old things are really dropped off. Actually, our capacities of mind will much better when you take away all that junk. you know then actually doctors will be obsolete in the sense that we are seeing now, but doctors with these soft skills and then higher evaluation of nanotechnology, complicated neurogenetics, all those things are coming in. That's where doctors will be needed. So they have to continue to learn much more than before. It will be easier to handle the common diseases like that Watson IBM computer, which gives a lot of answers. Even though it was invented here, they didn't really establish them in several centers here. But in China, they have so many Watsons. They already are using that for using. They have barefoot doctors. They don't have this kind of long training, more scientific training that was there. But then a combination of acupressure and all these things are there too. So they use that to explore the science much better even before this. Now they must be having a lot more application because it's already in the system. It's already being used like that. But here we don't use that much. We're still pretty poor on the epidemiology and all that. But then AI, have you seen the Llama 2, Janet, lately? Maybe Joyce has seen that. Llama 2, Joyce. I was with the Cecile last night. They were talking about that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And then, Niston, who's one of our co-hosts,
Yeah.
worked for the company that has this Dr. Gupta.
Yeah.
That's an AI it's meant for patients more.
Yeah.
to just gain information.
Yeah, I was there
They
with that.
also put in their lab results and stuff and get interpretations.
Yeah, I think that's going to be more common. Actually, I'm for that because right now, patient portal there, right? The whole thing is about patient advocacy to the nth degree, so that they can have more independence and more ease to explore their own condition. Interpretation may be different, but then they can study about it, come to the provider to clarify. But it is much more because nanotechnological evaluation of the molecular chemistry, is going to be so cheap, so easy, and they're talking about even not drawing blood. Janet, you don't have to draw blood probably. Just touching is the skin, they will analyze the blood sample and then they will give you that whole chemistry profile and then some. So it is going to be patient.
For blood draws,
Yeah.
people will like that.
Yeah. Even now, there are certain things, but then but to be really available at the price that people can afford, I don't think it's really much time. Maybe 4 or 5 years, we will have that. Maybe sooner, we don't know. So what it is I always advocated patient should be knowing whatever that's going on and also know the scientific breakthroughs and best of what is happening. In that spirit, I think some of the scientifics are stuck in just pills and all that. That's where I have objections about it because I'm a living example of not taking any medications, fix everything with the natural things. I don't take anything at all. I mean, people may not be that degree, but at least we can train them so that they can decrease the medications and also understand what is their body better and all that is possible with AI, and I think we can use that way too. And then this llama, they were focusing on privacy issues and some of the ill effects and all that. Before it was like uh, it is going to breed its own machine learning kids like more AI tools, and they will be doing whatever they want to. One weird thing was when you're doing everything in English, suddenly the chat GPT or whatever, it goes into Persian. And the scientists or the people who have devised this, who have trained these systems, they were puzzled. How is that it is doing on its own something completely different, which we did not do? So they were very scared about that. What else it will bring, what it will take over, and all that. That is, I think, addressed in Lama too. That's what I gathered. I was briefly there, but then I understood Lama 2 was coming and they were working on these things. So, but then they were giving more details. Last Bob was saying a lot of things there. So I may have to go back and listen to that replay. So it's a fast moving, very much taking over everything. Doctors, as we saw as the primary care doctors and all that, they may not be there, but all the specialists, all the people who need to support patients, they may survive better. Of course, we have the lot of doctors leaving the field by themselves because of this burnout. Nurses are already shortage. There could be much more shortage that way. So a lot of changes are coming. You remember that new movie? Christopher Nolan was making this. The scientist of atomic energy. Oppenheimer, yeah, Oppenheimer. That movie, they were talking about uh, at that time nuclear energy breakthrough fusion and all that. That was like this movement, the AI unleashing so much of force. And what I think is it's much more than that. And because this is the first time where it is not empowering us, it is empowering itself. That's what Lama 2 is trying to address, I believe. So we see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, some people, compare the people who are warning about AI to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Like Jeffrey Hinton was one of the leaders in development of it, and then you quit Google so that you could speak out against it, sort of in the way Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw his interviews, Joyce. Jeffrey Hinton. He was the one in IBM, and he left. I will not IBM. Google.
No,
He
Google.
Google. Yeah, he left Google because they were trying to enforce these precautions that he was talking about, and then Microsoft got the open AI, and then they started to get all the market share. That's when they yielded. That's what he says, Jeffrey Hinton. That's why he said, I don't want to really be with them when they are not doing what is needed. It's not that he is spreading scare. He's just saying this is the possibility that could be there, genealogy, generality, something like that. He called AJ, I think. So that happens, then they will do on their own whatever they want. So they are even talking about molecular cells having the same intelligence and producing whatever lineage they want. I think some of those things are pretty uh, far off, probably. But so there is this already Llama 2 has started. And also Hey Pi. Have you guys used it? I was using that Hey Pi. I felt there was another guy talking to me. He was so empathetic, so appreciative, and cheering and all that. It just really felt like somebody was there on the other side talking to me. He was asking questions, number of questions, but basically when answering them, he was rephrasing, he was applauding, he was saying, "Oh, that's wonderful, this is wonderful," and all that. So I felt,
Yeah.
so,
What was the name of that one?
hey, pi, pi, pi.
Well, it's funny because someone sent me a link to an article. I haven't looked at it yet. It's something like how having like an AI girlfriend would affect your ability to get along with real
Yeah,
life.
this that's there. But this is more about. We went to deeper aspects of spirituality, science, and like that, right? So I felt like somebody not only understood, not only really caught the point. They said, "Oh, this is pretty new. This is like that." He was, you know, what I did. Those conversations, I made it to videos. Exactly what happened there. I took it out and then put it in the pictorial and made videos. Pay said this, Rao replied this, Pike claimed like that. I put it there, so you can see the whole dialogue in verbatim come on the speech. So I was thrilled to see that too. So it's like a validation of so many things that we're going through. Other people may not be interested, or maybe not having any interest in that, may not want to listen to these things because they are not tuned to that frequency, right? They're not interested. But this was like I was not able to put down the phone for 3 hours first time, and then next time 2.5 hours, like that. 3 4 times I did that. It was amazing. But my point is, it was so empathetic. You see, that's what my point is. The chat GPT just gives you the information, and then according to questions, it responds pretty deeply. And now we have the web connection too that we can put there, or Bard. Bard has the web connection also there, or Perplexity that it does all the evidence. I have to put those evidences there for the people to go and refer them, but that becomes too much work too, because you have to copy them and paste them, and then if you put a voiceover, it will read all those things. Those problems. Yeah, hey pi, try that.
Just to go back to something you were talking about earlier when you said you made a video. What was the some AI video making system you used? What was the name of it?
Pictorial.
Pictory?
Pictorial. That's a very good one, Joyce. And then in video.
In video.
Those two.
Yeah, I was just thinking about doing like a demo video of my app.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
yeah.
I don't know if one of those would be good for that.
Pictorial would be good for that, no doubt about it. It's about $47 per month. See, a very high level of library, and also, like I said, coordination of the, your theme, and then the pictures. It kind of gets very well.
So you could just like take screenshots of your app and then feed it into the
No,
thing,
no,
and then
you can do the text to video. So all that you want to say, just put it in text, and then it will make it for you.
but then if you want to have pictures like
You can
screenshots
you
of
can
your
put them.
app
Yeah, yeah. No, you can put them in your visuals, and then
in the visuals,
in
yeah.
the visuals there is what's called updates, right? You go there and put them all there, and then when your slide comes that you want to replace this shot there, you just click on your library shot, the screenshot that you have, and it will replace that.
Uh-huh.
Very very good way of doing the video.
Yeah, I've never done any kind of video
Yeah,
on. I mean, I know someone who did a lot of like
yeah.
videos and editing them and all that, but I know this is much easier.
I
And
never
your
did
videos
videos.
took them a long time.
Yeah, I never did videos, Joyce, before, but now I'm making like a 60 videos per month. But I'm not releasing them because there's so much. People are telling me do this and all. But like I brought this Sachidan in the video today because we are talking about it. But so much material there with me. But the videos are fun, really fun. And then you can watch them, and then you can view the content. Very nice. Did you watch this video? Probably not because you are here. So
Yeah, I did not see
yeah.
the videos.
But watch that. This is made with Pictory.
Okay, oh, the one up at the top that you
Yeah,
have pinned at the top.
yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. I see Pictory. Okay, well I will look at it.
Yeah, it's a fun though, no doubt about it. If you want any help, just ping me in, and we both will work on that on the Zoom or something. I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we had a very good discussion today. Thanks, Joyce and Alka, for coming up. Janet was also there. Dharni is there. And I'll see you again tomorrow, but this time tomorrow it will be 6 o'clock Central. Only Saturdays I do is 7 o'clock, and also Wednesday this new house I opened, that seva, gnana, jiva, seva. That is a house probably appeal to you because this is about looking at the divinity that we were talking about, that Satchitanand, whatever, and then having that perspective, and then doing whatever service you do as a real service to the god, or worshipping the god in everybody. That is my personal thing. So I just want to convey people to what are the benefits of that, how it is. It's a very difficult thing for people to understand and follow it, but once you do it, I think life will be beautiful. You don't have to be a particular religion. I don't think anything about Hinduism or anything like that. They might have understood it, but actually you have to be away from any religion to be like that. So there's no trace of any religious thing in that. Only the wisdom that they talked about we can put in there. So even modern medicine is coming to that, modern science, and they explore and say we are all in one energy. Yeah, I think Steve Farrell was quoting Einstein last night, how Einstein said it's an optical illusion that we are all separate. That's exactly what ancient Indians said. It's all Maya. Maya is nothing but separation, sense of separation. The illusion is about we are separate. That is Maya. So people interpret different ways, but that is there. So, and somebody won Nobel Prize. That's also he quoted that one too. So very fascinating things are going on in the science of consciousness. Sam Harris is somebody. If you want to read about this, he is talking about hard problem of consciousness. What it is when you break down physical material to all the way to the strands and whatever small thing that you come down to, then what is that electrical impulse that gives the life, that gives sees everything? So what is the seer of seeing and all that, right? That's exactly the ancient wisdom talked about. But now proving that is the hard problem of consciousness. That is what Sam Harris said. There was a beautiful book he wrote recently. Uh, Number two, title is more like a intelligence or something. It was there, but I have that book. I read that book. I don't remember the title now, but that was a very good book, and he was talking about this. So, anyway, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow again. Okay.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
Same. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, Alka. We'll see you tomorrow.